kind of related to her thing. Would you prefer to date a guy who doesn't watch porn or watches porn? Or do you just not care? Like, you wouldn't care?
Is there a man that doesn't watch porn?
Yeah, there's probably not. I mean,
Plenty.
there's probably degrees to it too. There's guys who will watch it occasionally, and then there's guys who are heavily addicted to it. So,
I mean, honestly, I see it as like it doesn't really matter all that much. Like, I wouldn't think about it. Like, I watch pornography. Like, there's nothing wrong with like watching porn.
okay.
Yeah.
No porn.
I would prefer a man who does not watch porn.
It depends on how much he watches, I guess.
Average amount, I guess. 2 times a week, let's say 2 or 3 times a week.
Then I think that's fine. I can work with that.
Violet, what about you?
Yes, in moderation.
Okay, Madison.
Probably prefer a man that doesn't watch porn because I feel like it just changes the way that they view sex, perceive it, and how they, like what they expect out of sex in general.
Okay. Do you guys, so kind of related to that, because we've definitely heard things from a lot of women who've been on the show before about how porn they think it kind of changes how a guy might view sex, like Madison just said, or how expectations of women or whatever, or they're just can have an impact on sexual function. But more broadly speaking, do you guys think that men are more feminine now than in days past?
That's an extremely like difficult question, because I feel like over like the last like couple years since being in college, a lot of the men that I found myself with, I would say potentially might have like not estrogen problems, but like testosterone issues. I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't know what you mean by feminine. Like that kind of feminine, like biologically feminine, or like act feminine.
I mean, kind of both, I guess you could say, but
'Cause I
probably
like-
you like what?
I like fruity boys. Like,
You like fruity men?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
sure.
I do.
Okay. Okay. What about you?
I do.
Do you think men are more feminine now than in days past?
Yeah.
Okay.
1,000,000% yes, they're more feminine now.
Before the show, you were saying guys are no longer what?
Masculine.
What's the other word you used?
Beta? They're more beta now.
They're not alpha anymore. I
Right.
think. Yeah.
Alpha
Well,
masculine,
and we can
yes.
get into that a little later. What about you?
I think men are expressing more of their feminine side now. I'm not sure. I guess that would make them more feminine. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Violet?
Yes.
Madison?
I guess I would say men are given the capacity to be more vulnerable and sensitive, which I feel like does tie to femininity in some sort of ways. So yeah.
Okay. Now, do you guys prefer masculine men or feminine men?
I feel like also saying,
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like saying masculine over feminine is like not necessarily the proper term. I like to say
What do you
like
mean?
people that are more human beings, like just
Wait.
like acting like a human, less like a gender role.
That literally made no fucking sense what you just said.
You know, it makes sense in my head, you know? It's like sometimes you meet someone and they're like trying to be like super barley and tough, or they're trying to act like a Barbie, but it's like if you're just like a human being, like for example, men have like a higher suicide rate than like females do.
Just
Oh,
say
my bad.
delete.
Can I not say that?
Just say delete themselves. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Just go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
But like I don't know, I know like because of gender norms and stuff, like men get very isolated in their emotions and stuff, and I think now that we're in like a more accepting society, because like females have always had outlets, like better socialization, so I feel like it's what you're calling feminine is more just more humanness.
So you're saying masculine men are inhuman and feminine men are human?
No, I would say there are feminine and masculine men, but I would say like
Masculinity,
vulnerability.
I feel
masculinity,
like what she's trying to say
femininity.
is that men are, since they're more accepted or whatever, they're allowed to be more emotional,
Mm-hmm. Or-
aka human.
Yes, and I feel like
Like
people
that's what she's trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. Fuck it. Okay. But so the question is though, do you prefer masculine men or feminine men? Because just earlier you said you prefer, what is it, girly guy? I forgot what you
Oh,
said. Fruity,
yeah.
fruity men. So you prefer, like, if you had a choice between a masculine guy and a more feminine guy, which do you prefer?
Can we just like come back to this?
No, but you
real
already,
quick?
you almost already
Okay,
answered
but
it.
like with the fruity boys, it's like it doesn't necessarily mean they're not masculine. It just means they like you
So they're
know.
wearing a dress, and they're talking
I
with a
would
sort of
say-
a fet
Yeah.
manner, and then
Also, like pearls look hot on a man. Just saying, like that's a good look.
wait, girls look hot on a man?
No,
Pearls.
pearls.
Pearls?
Yeah, and some people would be like, oh, that's like
Like earrings?
yeah,
Oh,
like
necklaces.
necklaces.
A pearl necklace on a dude?
Yes.
Okay. All right. To each their own, I
Makes
guess.
them a little more feminine.
Okay.
Masculine.
You prefer masculine men. What about you?
Definitely masculine.
Masculine, yeah.
Masculine with a beard.
100% masculine.
Don't do that. Okay. Madison, what about you?
I said 100% masculine.
Okay. All right. What do you guys, last question on this one, what do you think about masculinity? Good? Neutral? Bad? What do you think about masculinity?
It's good.
Start with you. We'll go around.
You know what? You had a very like yes. This is what I like.
She's speaking to the mic. Go ahead.
I mean, it depends on. I would say I'm not necessarily a fan of masculinity. I feel like, well, like I mean, there's levels of it. Like, I would say in moderation. Is that a good?
Masculinity in moderation.
Yes.
You're not a fan of masculinity. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, I'm gonna be all barley or like barley and stuff, like drinking beers to feel like a man.
Is that
I don't think
is that
that's
what
what
masculinity
masculine
is?
means.
Well, not like necessarily that, but I don't know. I'm
Besides
bad
the
with-
beer chugging thing, is there any
Well,
thing
like,
that you?
I don't know. I feel like there's toxic masculinity, and I feel like that's usually when I look at a person, I'm like, okay, that like the masculinity is showing, you know. That's why I'm like in moderation.
Wait, so you're saying when masculinity is apparent or showing, that equals toxic masculinity?
No, it's just sometimes it's like a little excessive, and that's usually when I like notice it.
What is excessive masculinity?
You know, like, can we just like loop around?
No, we got it.
Like-
Keep going. We got you. We got you. Keep going.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, like, oh, I need this like big old car. It's like, okay, you're compensating for something.
Compensating for what?
A lot of things. I can tell you that much.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. List it. List it. List it.
I mean, probably like their low self-esteem, and maybe their tiny dicks. Can I say that?
Sure.
Okay.
Tiny dicks. So men who want nice cars have tiny dicks? Is
No,
that
not
what you're
necessarily. It's mostly. That's what I mean. Like in moderation. It's like everyone wants a nice car, but it's like how you write it, how you do it. You know.
So do women who want nice cars, do they have loose pussies?
No, they got taste. There's.
Oh, so it's only bad when men. It's only bad if men have a desire for material goods.
No. No. It's like I said, like it's how you write it. So it's like when a man is like trying so hard to seem like a dude, that's
I feel
like
she's trying to say
excessive.
it's like an ego thing.
Yeah, like it's like ego. It's like it's the same with like the beers. It's like I know a lot of guys
The
that
what?
like
Beers.
beers,
Oh,
like chugging
beers?
beers. Yeah, because like I know a lot of guys that like will drink a lot of beer or will only drink beer around other men because they want to look like a man.
I actually think on the beer thing really quick, not that it's super related to dating, but gentlemen, beer has hops and that will produce I believe that'll produce estrogen in you, so don't drink beer. If you're going to be a man, I don't drink at all. I don't know. Don't drink beer. It has hops in it. I think the byproduct of that will produce estrogen in you. Go ahead.
With?
Well, you're saying teeny dicks, toxic masculinity, which by the way, I don't believe there is toxic masculinity.
Okay, that's a very hot take.
That there's not toxic masculinity?
Yeah, I feel like most people would 100% disagree with that.
I don't believe that we need to attach gender to toxicity. I think people are just toxic. I don't think we need to is there toxic femininity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, potentially yes.
Can't you just
Say toxic.
It's just such a loaded word that I feel like you might mean it some way, but people are going to take it in the way that it's just a blanket attack on masculinity.
Can I
like masculinity is inherently toxic, you know?
Well, it's not inherently toxic. Again.
But when you say toxic masculinity, without clarification, I think people are going to assume she means all masculinity is toxic.
Well, I could go into biopsychology right now and spew out statistics, but last time that got bleeped, so I'm gonna can I hot potato this? You said you like masculinity.
We can come. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, all for masculine men.
Okay. What about you?
Yes, for masculinity, I think that's what's missing this world right now, and it's much needed.
Okay. Becca? Is that short for Rebecca?
It is.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of masculinity?
I think masculinity needs to be expressed just as much as femininity, and I think masculinity can include the traits that maybe aren't typically associated with masculinity, like vulnerability and emotionality.
Okay,
you know.
we'll come back to the vulnerability topic later. Violet, what about you?
Yes, necessary.
Necessary. Okay.
Yes.
Madison.
I think masculinity is great. I think men were born to be masculine for a reason, but I do feel like the term and the definition masculinity has been so deformed nowadays. You were giving out examples drinking beer makes a man and things like that. That's definitely not what true masculinity means, as in being a protector, being a provider. So I feel like that really takes away the man in men, which is why it's so it's not real anymore.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Madison. Thank you. Well, I'm definitely concerned about the ongoing feminization of men. There's a blatant attack, I think, on masculinity, and there is a rapid decline in testosterone levels, and I think it definitely serves our government, corporate overlords to have a bunch of weak and feminine men. They're way easier to control. And I do think our environment, it's filled with estrogenic chemicals, plastics, junk food. We live very sedentary lifestyles. I fall into it too. But I think the media, in its quest to reshape society, loves to just demonize normal masculine men, labeling them as toxic, as she said, toxic masculinity. And we can certainly have a discussion on that. Let's see. It's the testosterone level's been declining for decades. I guess they're tracking it somehow. Sperm count and strength in men, also decreasing exponentially. And apparently, I think I'm probably 90% of this next statistic. There's a striking reduction in grip strength among young men. Look at these fucking dainty gamer hands. It's all my fault. I'm probably the blame for that. So I'm trying to turn things around myself.